Have you ever wanted to be able to see in total darkness, and at really long range? If so, keep watching. This is a project we have wanted to build for bloody ages. Today, we are going to show you something we cobbled together, to allow us to do just that. So sit back, and watch us use this monstrous piece of equipment, to fire some high-power laser beams at children, just for the purposes of your gratification and entertainment. And don't forget, hit the like button, after all, it helps the kids to get their eyesight back. This is by no means the first infrared night vision system we have built on this channel. Past projects include an ultra-cheap system, made from the shittiest webcam money can buy. A high-definition project, that gave far better quality video, especially over slightly longer ranges. We even made a tiny little device, that plugs into a smartphone. But for this project, we are going to need to upgrade every single part of the system. This is planned to be used at ultra-long ranges of up to 1 kilometer, and for that we are going to need much more intense illumination, and the optics will need much higher magnification. We ended up buying a lot of different solutions, for illuminating the target with infrared light. Most of these were bought on the second-hand market. It took far too long to find something that would work reasonably well, and without having too much power that we would be in danger of dissecting our targets, instead of just illuminating them. Right, let's get on with it. This is one of those projects, that took far too long to complete, was hopelessly over budget, and had very poorly defined goals from the start. So, all in all, a completely normal project for this channel. Let's start with defining what we are going to be making. We need to be able to capture video of people from ranges of up to 1 kilometer, which requires a telescope. Fortunately, we built a simple telescope, albeit a rather shitty one, in a previous video. We realized very early on, that the only practical way to be able to illuminate a target, 1 kilometer away with enough infrared light, was to use a laser. Infrared LEDs just could not be focused into enough of a collimated beam to be usable. We will come onto the safety aspects a bit later. Right, let's just run through the components of this system. We have a crappy telescope, with a camera module attached, that has had its infrared cut filter removed. Next we will have an infrared laser, and we have cobbled together a suitable power supply for it. The laser needs some collimating optics, so we can try and get our beam to be as parallel as possible. After that, the only thing that we need, is someone who will let us test our laser on them. And, we already have a devious plan for that. Initially, we found the perfect laser for our purpose. It was a fiber-coupled, 880 nanometer industrial laser that came with a pre-terminated SMA 905 connection. Brand new, these things are well beyond our budget, but we found one on the second-hand market for about $25. And then disaster struck. My clumsy human assistant managed to overvoltage this perfect little diode and killed it. I'm not one to hold grudges, but perhaps later I can remind him to be more careful in the future, perhaps by giving him a bloody good dose of volts. Next, we found this absolute monster of a laser on the second-hand market, and it was about the same price. This DIY death ray has a maximum continuous output of 300 watts. To be fair, we don't have any power supplies that can come even close to be able to drive this thing at those sort of power levels. This one is also a fiber-coupled laser, but the free end of the fiber needed to be terminated, and this is where we ran into trouble. Again, I was defeated by my ham-fisted assistant. He seemed to be totally unable to get a good quality termination, despite the fact that he had bought an expensive kit, had watched several videos on the subject, and had numerous attempts. We also bought a new 1.7 watt laser, but it was a V-cell type, and its energy was spread out too far to be useful for long-range illumination. We have another project in mind for this device, and we will be talking about that a bit later. Finally, we settled on something we figured should work. It is also a V-cell array, but each of the lasing elements seem to be closer together. It is a raw laser diode, and we are going to need some accessories to make this work. Actually, this was an absolute breeze to assemble into a functioning unit. The laser is rated for 4 watts, but we will be driving it at lower power in this project. But, the bitter irony is that to buy this little laser cost more than both of those second-hand, high-power lasers put together. We also 3D printed a knob for the lens assembly, so that my clumsy human assistant doesn't need to cook his fingers when he adjusts the laser to be correctly focused. And now, with a bit of 3D printing, we sort of have a workable solution for the infrared illumination, so it's time to give it a quick test. This is a laser power meter, so let's see what kind of output we get from this laser. As you can see, our laser power meter gives it a rating of white smoke. But let's also try it with the contents of this box, which gives a reading of just over 2 watts of optical output. And all of this brings us nicely on to our next subject, which of course is laser safety. Okay, it's time to talk about laser safety, and this part is serious. We do not recommend that anyone tries to reproduce these experiments. And, I'm not fucking about either, just don't do it. The risk to your human eyes is incredibly serious, and we have taken a lot more precautions than you see in this video to ensure complete safety during these experiments. Seriously, just enjoy the video, and don't try this for yourselves. Whenever we do experiments using lasers, we always use appropriate laser safety goggles. These ones you see here are specifically designed for this wavelength of infrared light, and we have been particularly strict with their use whenever lasers are operated. We have also tested these goggles to ensure that they do exactly what they claim. In this case we found that these goggles offered protection to at least OD3, which means that all but 0.1% of the laser light is blocked. In addition, we were careful to ensure that the experiments were designed by their basic geometry, to meet worldwide, eye-safe regulations. Infrared light is particularly dangerous, because it is invisible, and so the natural response to bright light, which is to blink and look away, does not work. At about 500 meters, our beam profile looks like this. It covers about 27 square meters of area, and with a total beam power of 2 watts, we have a radiant flux of 74 milliwatts per square meter. Let's just put that into context. This is below the eye-safe regulations by a factor of 135 times. It is over 13,000 times lower than sunlight, and so is only about 25 times as bright as moonlight. To make sure we are not accidentally illuminating any non-combatants in the process, we are going to be placing our observation post at the top of a tall building. So, in summary, the combination of the beam geometry, the height of illumination, and also the safety goggles means there really is no danger here. Right, let's break out the spectrometer and make some measurements. Often, the best experiments are the ones that give you results that you didn't expect. It usually means that there is something new to learn. And this was one of those cases. Right, let's start at the beginning. This is a small USB spectrometer, and conveniently it displays the illumination levels, in units of watts per square meter. We actually did a couple of review videos on this device if you are interested. So, we took our little spectrometer out and about to make some measurements of this laser. We wanted to make absolutely sure that before we point this thing at anybody, we had checked our calculations with real measurements at a distance. What we found was quite surprising. The output was lower than we expected, in fact it was a lot lower. Then we rechecked with the power meter, and again made a measurement of the beam divergence and pattern. Something wasn't adding up. But we found a clue. Each day we tried to measure the beam output at a distance, we got a different result. And then it dawned on us why. We just happen to live in a tropical part of the world, and the humidity can be very high here. And when we checked the absorption lines for atmospheric humidity, we could see a major problem. Our 940 nanometer laser diode is producing light at exactly a major atmospheric absorption band. In fact, we could be losing as much as 70% of the optical energy to absorption and scattering. Well, we have no intention of turning up the laser power, so we will just have to accept what we have. We also took the opportunity to measure some other common infrared emitters, such as this security camera. Measuring the radiant flux, we get about 20 milliwatts per square meter, so fairly similar to our laser at about 500 meters range. We also tested this entry phone, it measured at well over double what our laser could manage at 500 meters, even without any atmospheric attenuation. Right, let's get out of the city and test this thing. My human assistant's wife and daughter were away for a long weekend. Which means that with his two boys, it's time for a lad's weekend away. This is one of those seaside towns that was built, and basically failed. It just about attracts enough tourists to keep the lights on, and the bars open, but it does mean that everything here is cheap, and there are always rooms. The first job was to scout a location for pointing our night vision system at. We opted to do this during daytime and get ourselves oriented, it's just much harder to do at night. And here is our target, this metal pole on the beach. We had a quick scan with a laser-based flashlight, but although the sun had set, all of the beach lights were still on, and we were not able to see any additional illumination from this light source using the telescope. We set up our telescope, got the laser correctly focused, and set the laser alignment. Our alignment system is pretty poorly designed, and this took about an hour to get this even halfway correct. So now, we just need to wait for the beach lights to be turned off. Right, let's just say that the kids kind of missed the agreed marker and carried on walking up the beach. They ended up about 150 meters further down range, and after spending 20 minutes scanning the telescope to locate them in the gloom, we finally had some video images. And then, something rather strange occurred. It seems that the kids were having a late-night beach party. How groovy. Putting the beach party to one side, it should be pointed out that although the footage here makes the laser look pretty intense, this has all been heavily post-processed for maximum contrast. The raw footage actually looks like this. This isn't exactly a military grade, or even a commercial grade system, it's just a bunch of parts that have been cobbled together and sort of works. Frankly, I think that this is about as far as we want to take this concept. And, we will claim this as a successful project, despite the obvious flaws. Anyway, it's well past bedtime for the kids. So, let's wrap this thing up, and see what we have learned. So, how do we rate this device? First, it needs to be said that the terrible beam profile did seriously impact the performance of this system. A round profile is always preferred. But, the results are not too shabby either. It's a pretty simple design, there is nothing revolutionary to see in this project. It's just a crappy laser and a shitty telescope being combined. I was very saddened by the demise of that nice laser. The project got put on hold for nearly a year as a result of that accident. I think that the most noteworthy aspect of this project is that we got to learn a lot about the atmospheric attenuation of this particular wavelength of near-infrared light. With hindsight, seeing the laser scattering so much light that the beam is clearly visible in an infrared camera should have been a massive clue. But who knows, maybe we can find a use for this effect in a future project. And I know, there will be the usual web nannies that will whine about pointing lasers at people in the comments. But, if they had any actual knowledge of the subject, they wouldn't be so quick to expose their ignorance in writing. When used correctly, and applying some common sense, this is no more dangerous than a Ring doorbell. Having said that, we are not going to be sharing any parts lists, or construction details for this project. If you are smart enough to be able to use this kind of thing safely, then you certainly don't need our help to figure that out for yourself. We have one other little safety tip to share. Between each of the 10 or 20-second uses of the infrared emitter, we got the kids to use standard flashlights to shine at the sand. This prevents the eyes from dilating due to the darkness. A human eye that is fully constricted will let in about 16 times less light than one that is fully dilated. I might sometimes take risks with my human assistant's personal safety, but I certainly wouldn't do that with his kids. A possible future project is an ultra-long-range infrared remote control. This was actually the reason for choosing a wavelength of 940 nanometers. We figured we could use it for both projects, so stay tuned for that one. Anyway, that's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed our little video, or at least found some parts of it interesting. If you got this far in our video, then hopefully you can also help out with the care and feeding of YouTube's evil algorithm. And besides which, those like and subscribe buttons are not going to press themselves. We don't have any sponsors, nor are we looking for any either. At least this way, we can say what we want, and we can pick and choose the subjects we actually want to cover. If you have any ideas for topics you want us to look into, please drop them into the comments. We do read all the comments, and even reply to most of them. This is a hobby channel, so we don't have a lot of resources with which to make these videos. So if you want to help out, you could always drop us a super chat, or just buy us a coffee. It is our sincere hope that you got to learn at least one new thing from watching this video, and that it was worth the time you invested. After all, time is the only truly valuable resource that we have. And please don't forget to share your video ideas with us. Good ideas are welcome, bad ideas are tolerated, because the only truly tragic thing in this world is to have no ideas at all. And next, perhaps you want to watch one of these marvelous videos.